What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 30 of Spoiler Alert. Fuck you, Ello.
I didn't say anything.
I didn't even say anything, but I could just see you thinking it. So it's just
I was triggered, man. I reacted. Who are we?
Who are we?
I'm Ellohime.
I'm ChanManV. And he's
Diction. What's up?
And we've got a special guest today, BurkeBlack. What's up, buddy?
Who has no idea what's going on right now.
Yeah, he's like, what are we doing? What kind of show is this? But,
Burke, I'll explain. Every time we start the show, ChanMan says, "What's up? What's up?" He does it every time, and he'll forget about that he did it week to week. And by the time we start the show, he'll say it again. "What's up? What's up?" So we've commented on it before, and I'm just kind of smiling to myself about it when it happened this time. But I didn't say anything. I was going to let it go, and then Chan read me like a hawk. So that's where we stand with this.
Well, everybody watching, we are obviously Spoiler Alert, and what we do each and every week on the show is we pick a movie, a TV show, comic book, whatever we were doing, and we just dive completely into it, just get down to the nitty-gritty, analyzing everything about it, what we loved, what we didn't love. And this week we're doing Wonder Woman, the movie, of course, not the comic.
We were supposed to do it like a month ago.
Yeah, and then E3 hit and everything. Yeah, everybody was all over the place. So,
yeah. So we'll try to get back on a regular, hopefully, week-to-week schedule here. But yeah, so Wonder Woman, when did you guys see it?
Oh, wow. 3 weeks ago.
I know. It was like over 2 weeks for me now, too.
I saw it like opening weekend, and then I saw it again last week with my friend because she came to visit me for my birthday, and she just had LASIK, so her eyes are better now. So she was like, I want to see a 3D movie. I've never like really experienced a 3D movie. I was like, all right, let's go watch Wonder Woman then. So I saw it once in 2D and the second time in 3D.
Was it that much better?
Like the Thursday before release.
The 3D was really good.
Thursday before? Oh, yeah, Thursday on release? Oh, my God. It's been a long time for you then.
Wow.
For some reason, like I'm
going to be the only one that remembers anything about this fucking movie, right? Like,
poor Burke. He's trying to get a word in edgewise.
Sorry.
No.
Let's just talk over our guests the entire time, guys.
Shut up, Burke! Shut up!
Oh, man. No, Burke, what were you saying? Like,
so, Diction, you were saying?
What a dick.
Wow.
All right, so
I saw it the Thursday before the Friday release.
Before
I saw it at IMAX. I was all hyped for Wonder Woman.
All right.
So give us a little bit of your history, Burke. Are you a big like comic book fan? Do you like superhero movies? Like, are you a huge nerd when it comes to superheroes?
Nerd, dude. Like this massive
nerd.
I don't care about any of the doctor lawyer shows out there. I just want to know what Spider-Man's doing this week. It's all I give a piss about.
The doctor lawyer shows. Dude, that'd be a fucking great crossover. It's like Grey's Anatomy, Law and Order with Spider-Man. Like he's on trial. He's on trial for accidentally murdering a thug or something.
Or like NCSI, like Punisher just makes a cameo.
Gotta be lawyer.
Oh my God.
Anywho, so comic books or like mostly movie? Okay, all right. So did you go in? Were you like a big Wonder Woman fan before it started? No. Okay.
I'm not much of a DC person at all. Actually, I'm Marvel true and through, but.
You bandwagon. You're totally bandwagoner.
That's not bandwagon.
I know.
I bet Burke grew up like I did with like the X-Men animated series. Like Batman was out there, especially like the Batman
animated Batman was gold.
The animated Batman was really good, but for me it was all about Marvel too, man. Like I don't know. I just felt like they had more compelling superheroes. So I'm right there with you. So,
they didn't push their like interesting weird superheroes as much as Marvel does. Like Marvel fucking is like Deadpool everywhere. He shows up everywhere. And fucking DC has Lobo, who's a really interesting fucking weird sadistic character, but they like only if you're a true hardcore like fan will even know that he exists. You know, like people played Injustice, Gods Among Us. They're like, holy shit, who's this fucking Rob Zombie looking dude that seems badass and rides a motorcycle? It's like, oh, that's Lobo. He's fucking rad, but like no one knows.
Yeah, see, like you mentioned Lobo, and it's a name that I recognize, but I can't picture the hero.
I know the name, but I don't know anything about the character. I know he's like supposed to be the DC of Wolverine version or some crap like that. I don't know.
Yeah. He's like the anti-hero kind of guy.
Now I gotta look this
Wonder Woman. Like I know of her, and I know that she's like just badass, you know, Superman's equal or something like that. But like her history, I know nothing. Nothing.
I feel like that's the general thing. Like I think most people that are watching Wonder Woman the movie really have no history with Wonder Woman. I mean, I remember watching like the series a long time ago because I'm an old fuck, but like I don't actually remember anything else about Wonder Woman, comic wise. I never even seen. I don't think I've ever seen a Wonder Woman comic.
Really? That's funny because I've seen way too many Wonder Woman comics.
Really?
Well, yeah. Well, okay. So here's the thing. Back when I was like 18, 19, one of my best buddies owned a comic book shop. So to make a couple extra bucks, I used to go and hang out at his shop anyways, like all day and play Halo and shit. I would sit in the back and he would give me these long boxes of comics. And I would just bag and board them. So you would just, don't know, there's a flat board. So it's a way of preserving the comics. So he would buy these long boxes in bulk. So he'd have, 50 to 150 long boxes in the back that needed to go through and have these things bag and boarded. And there were certain things though that I had to keep a lookout for while I was doing this. There's certain titles or like certain numbers, like first edition of, or the first time Wolverine showed up in Hulk, like first appearances, this and that, just things that might look valuable. I had to kind of keep an eye out, but also because he had customers that had particular interests. And one of them was that this one guy would buy any comic if it had a woman in bondage on the front cover. If it had a woman in bondage on the front cover, he would buy it. And when I went through these, I had to make sure that if there were any women in bondage on the front cover, that I put them aside because he would sell them to this guy. And Wonder Woman comics, especially like Golden Age, Silver Age comics, like, holy shit, it's just bondage after bondage after bondage after bondage after bondage. That lasso of truth has exacted so much honesty out of Wonder Woman because she's getting wrapped up in her own goddamn fucking whip so many times that people literally beat off to it, okay? Like, it's that intense. So that's how I know, and I didn't read any one of these. I might have skimmed through just to see what happens, because it's Wonder Woman in bondage. Why? Like, you got to see if she makes it. But I never read any of these. So that's all I know from Wonder Woman is that she just ended up in bondage a lot. That's pretty much.
You've never read them at all?
I never read them at all. I mean, I don't know. I kind of was turned off by the whole idea of the invisible plane. Like, it's like such a weird and
and I'm so glad they fucking left that
out.
I
was gonna say, I'm so glad they didn't put that in there.
Yeah. I was like, there's only so much my imagination can stretch for this DC universe, and that's the apex right there. It's like, oh, invisible plane. Okay, bye, dude.
Yeah,
I'm done.
It's such like I said, so it's such an absurd
idea. It's kind of
ahead,
out there to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, hey, there's an Amazonian Greek goddess in World War I. Enjoy. Like,
I
you'd have been like, this shit.
Yeah. I think some of the mics might be coming through your speakers, Burke, or something like that, because we're hearing echoes or something.
Headphones.
Yeah,
like a normal person.
Headphones, dude. Headphones. No, but you know what's funny with the lasso? I totally forgot about the lasso and just what it did until just seeing the scenes again, or even just some
I like
of the, trailers,
the way they portrayed it in the movie.
Yeah,
it's like it fucking burns, man. Like him struggling to keep it. Like I'm a spy. Oh, I love that. I cackled so hard when that happened.
It's like it hurts men to be honest so bad that
I know. Right?
Exactly. All right, is that better, Burke? Let's see.
No, it probably isn't, because the stupid thing is the way my mixer is set up. I never figured out how to stop that from happening.
Right?
Yeah, I have the same thing, man. I have a mixer and it's a fucking nightmare because somebody else helped me set it up, and I'm constantly like I can't go on Skype and use my microphone. Still don't know why.
Yeah.
It's because of my mixer somehow. But,
Just be sure not to talk when Burke's talking then.
Yeah, I just gotta remember.
we're just gonna have to be very cautious about when Burke is ready to go. So
Yeah.
shut the fuck up. So, anywho, well, okay, so let's get into the meat. Let's get in the meat and bones then of the movie itself instead of just Wonder Woman. So I guess we'll start like we always fucking start. I guess if anybody has anything they really want to talk about, they liked or disliked or whatever, I guess get into it.
Okay.
All right, we'll start with the
like
positives.
movie.
There you go.
Yeah,
You want
I
to
really,
start with the
really.
positive? Okay.
Let's go positive and then get negative. I
Okay.
really like the movie. I thought it's like I made me forget about everything DC's done in their films the last like 3 movies, and Gal Gadot is precious to me now. She's so wide-eyed and curious and hopeful and full of love in the movie, and it's like. And there's no snarkiness. That was like the biggest thing that hit me with like the humor, because it's really funny. It's a funny movie, but it's not like sarcastic, snarky humor like the Marvel movies have, you know, where Tony Stark's like shutting people down left and right with his fucking wit. It's just like comedy. It's comedy for the sake of comedy, and I thought that was awesome. And it was shot well. It's beautifully shot, and the action's fucking rad, and the story. I don't know. It's like 2 hours long, right? But it never feels like I never once felt like the pacing was off. It felt like expertly, like from beginning to middle to end. Like it felt like I was on the ride, and I never had to step off for like a side story or like this character moping or doing whatever, you know.
Okay.
I dug it.
Burke, what do you think, man?
Well, okay. First of all, to understand me, I got like a childlike mind. Okay, so whenever I look at things, I'm always in like moments, you know. So I was completely enthralled with the entire film. Like for me, it was like Nolan quality of a movie here for like the Batman movies, and I was just enthralled with every minute that I watched the film. So, and also probably a little bit of because I got like a little bit of Xena fandom going. So this is like Xena World War One, and I was all about it. You know what I mean? So
yeah. All right.
like
that's
Lucy
good.
Lawless.
I grew up watching her. She's like the first female hero that I watched. It was like, what? Does actually, she's more amazing to me than Hercules at the time. So I'm watching this Wonder Woman. I was just enthralled with everything she was doing. So, like I said, the story was great. She was great. The music was awesome. Freaking got goosebumps like crazy at the trench moment. You know what I'm talking about? The trench.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the No
Man.
Man's Land. Yeah, that was fucking epic.
I'm not a man. Oh gosh, climb the stairs and freak out. Goosebumps galore. So,
Hold on.
it was great, man.
Okay, so if there was any pacing problems, which there are very, very few, if there was, by the time that it got to that scene at No Man's Land where she crosses, you don't fucking care. Like, I think it got a little slow between when what's his name says I'm a spy and they actually get to the trench warfare part. I think that it's lighthearted enough and you get to know the characters enough that it's okay for the most part. But I did start going kind of like, all right, like let's get to a fucking fight scene at a certain point. But then when it did happen, it was just like and it's a long fight scene.
Yeah,
like,
she fucking like defeats the trench and then goes in that town and just fucking wrecks
wrecks
left
the
and right.
fucking town, man.
that fucking flying knee through the window.
Oh yeah.
God.
Like, I need to find a gif of that because that's just so fucking badass and incredible. Hold on.
It's literally so well choreographed that it's like pornographic. Like, I get just as excited watching porn as I did that fucking action scene. And it was one of those few action scenes where the CGI, it's mixed in there, but it's happening so quick and it's shot so well that I feel like, man, CGI has gotten to a place where it's no longer so like outstanding. It's not so like
they use that kind of stuff at the end, but
yes, at the end they did absolutely. But
they just like fucking jizzed CGI all over the audience at the end there, man.
so.
And it wasn't very good CGI to begin with.
Fire
like-
hose.
No,
Exactly.
but I'm talking about that scene specifically with her starting out in
Yeah.
no man's land and
Absolutely.
moving it, into the whatever. It was just like I just sat there just watching wide-eyed, like, oh my God. Every time something happened, I was getting, goosebumps, all that shit. But man, those Germans, like, what the fuck were they thinking? Like, you gotta understand, those Germans are like looking across there, and she's like looking like either. I mean, if you were to like give her like a role during that time, I mean, like prostitute or like sexy nurse at best, right? Like, because they just see a woman scantily clad stepping towards them. They're like, what the fuck is that? All of a sudden, she's got a shield and she's beating the shit out of them, like murdering them by the tens all the way down to the fucking house. Like, those Germans must have been fucking confused, because I would have been confused for sure. But no, that scene is insane, man. That scene is fucking insane.
Yeah,
From
I mean
the
that
beginning to
that
end.
scene is the best scene in the entire film, and it's kind of funny because when they're writing the script and they're playing this movie, I feel like wouldn't they plan like a scene or just the best scene like that at the end versus somewhere in the middle? And I mean, they even used the trailer. Like half of the trailer is that scene, right? And that's kind of one of the reasons why we got so hyped about it. So I mean, I loved it. I mean, the mix of slow mo with the CGI and all that stuff. I think it was really, really great. Yeah, pacing wise, I think I agree with you, Ello. I think that I think it was fine. It's just there were definitely a few moments in the beginning that were kind of slow, and then at the end, I don't know what it did at the end. The end, it just was crazy, and I guess it's kind of typical of a lot of movies. It just goes way too fast at the end. All right, I'm gonna say something that's great. So overall, I liked the movie. I mean, I thought, it was entertaining. I thought they did a really good job with the backstory for her and all that good stuff. But I'm gonna go out on a limb in saying that I didn't think, outside of the way she looks, Gal Gadot, she looks perfect for the part. I don't actually think her acting was good at all. I thought her acting sucked.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, some of the some of the things that you were saying, like that that kind of humor, she does that kind of thing in Fast and Furious, and it works, and that sort of thing definitely does work. But like her emotional scenes, oh my God, I was just like cringing the entire time. I was like, oh God, this is like not good, like at all for me.
I don't agree whatsoever.
Oh, wow, okay.
She's fucking incredible. Like, she's not perfect. Like, she's not like a fucking Meryl Streep or anything, but she pulls it off, and it's
Really?
believable for me. Yeah.
Like when Robin
I don't know,
Wright's character dies.
Maybe you're racist because she has an accent. I don't know.
No, like when Robin Wright's. Oh my
You know what? I'm
God.
starting to see a thing here, Diction. If somebody disagrees with you, all of a sudden you're a racist. I don't know.
I know. Where
No,
did that
in this
come
context,
from?
she's a sexist now.
Yeah.
Is this a
Wonder Woman.
podcast for movies and games and stuff, or is this Social Justice Warrior podcast? What's going on here, man? Everybody's a racist if they don't
Dude,
agree.
When Robin Wright's character dies, right? I mean, that's like obviously a huge emotional part for her. Oh God,
Yeah, that one was a little forced, but
so
like
bad.
I wouldn't call her a bad actress just for that one scene. Like,
I mean,
rest of the
I don't.
movie-
I mean, I never
She's
necessarily
like-
say she's a
she's
bad
not a-
actress. I was just saying that the acting that she had during emotional scenes were not good.
it could use a little
Not
work. She
good.
could use some coaching on that, but like the rest of it, she's just being like confident and badass and humorous and very, very curious about this world of men that she's not accustomed to. Like.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like out of like
Yeah.
all the fish out of water movies, like it
Mhm.
handled it the best, I think, like one of the better ways, where it wasn't like, oh, here we go again, it's like Thor again, oh, look at these puny humans, he doesn't understand. It was a little more just like why are they holding hands? Like, oh, look, a baby, like why can't I wear my clothes like this? I don't understand. Like this is
Yeah.
It's like a coming of age kind of movie.
Yeah.
Like she's very young and not sure about herself at the beginning, and very hopeful, like in the middle and everything about it. And then just, she's not like hardened yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe that's what you were expecting, like a hardened warrior, but she was
No,
so
it's not that. It's
innocent
just-
looking.
It's just, I think with Gal Gadot, she's really good at doing things subtly. And yeah, those things did work. It's just, that I don't know. When I think of acting, I think of like what could be possible from, somebody playing that character, even if it is like this coming of age thing. I just think that it was possible for somebody to do more than she did. And it wasn't apparent until you just saw like emotional scenes, like at the end when Chris Pine's character dies and things like that. It's it wasn't to the grade. I mean, it wasn't good at all, in my opinion. But like all those other things about her, made up for it just because I can't think of a single actress that would look the part, and would be able to do, some of the attributes of that character, as well as she did. But overall, I don't know. I still think that there could have been a candidate that might have overall been a better Wonder Woman than Gal Gadot. I know it's like not the popular opinion, but that's just what I thought.
You don't have to have the
Yeah, I
popular
know,
opinion.
exactly.
In fact,
Yeah,
as
you can be
somebody
wrong.
who
It's fine.
normally
You can
and
be
you
wrong.
can be wrong, and you can be
I could be wrong.
as somebody who very often on this show does not have the popular opinion, I am so happy that I'm not the guy today.
Captain Contrarian over here.
I'm not the guy today, and I don't think I was the guy last month either, man. I feel good about it.
What did we talk about last? I don't even remember.
It was Silicon Valley and I think
Silicon
13
Valley was-
Reasons.
Oh yeah,
and,
we're all
we
pretty much
did
on the
all-
same page.
Yeah, I guess we all kind of love that.
Can I
Anyways,
just say I would love to be on that island, by the way? I would just be fine with it. Like, it's a war. It's
you're
not
the
really
French
important.
dude.
I'm just going to live here.
You're that
Yeah.
little French, that pervy French dude.
I mean, they have pretty much everything that you would want.
want.
They got beautiful women. It's a paradise. Like, why would you ever leave? It's like, fuck the world out there, man. But okay. So let's back up. Chan,
Yeah.
I disagree with you, but I understand where you're coming from because in the emotional scenes, I don't feel like I felt it either. But I was okay with that because I felt like that was sort of part of her upbringing and kind of the culture that she came from. I don't think that they dwell on death a lot. In fact, I kind of saw it more as like a 300 kind of thing. Like it's more glorious to go out on your shield kind of shit. So when she wasn't super emotional about stuff, I just kind of attributed that more to the culture that she comes from. They didn't seem to get super emotional about anything. I mean, even when it was even when it was like her training and stuff, her mom was like, I really don't want her to do that. And it's like, no, she should learn. Like it was not like, these super emotional people. And I think that was kind of the whole idea behind, the women in this, in a lot of ways, don't actually have what we would consider to be typical women traits. Like they aren't super emotional. Not to say that all women are. I'm just saying that both men and women can be emotional. Here's my little disclaimer so I don't get called sexist. But here's the thing is that like these women were in a lot of ways more warlike, more something we would attribute more to men. They're tactical thinkers. She was smart on her feet. She was agile. She was strong. She was all these things that usually attribute to men. So when she wasn't being super overly emotional, I just attributed that again more to the culture and the fact that she was a warlike kind of person. So it didn't bother me as bad, though I do understand what you're saying. I see what you're seeing.
Well,
I just wasn't bothered.
So I get that. I totally understand, at least the logic behind that. But let's just see how they presented her character originally, like from the very beginning, which was a little girl who was very rambunctious and totally wide-eyed. And I felt like that didn't carry over to the adult version of her. She did become more of that kind of stoic and just something that matched, like you said, her mother and things like that. And I don't know. I kind of was hoping they would carry that over, where she would be just a little bit more rambunctious still, like whenever she decides to go with him, and make that huge move, right? I don't know. I just wasn't as completely convinced whenever, she was saying, I need to go. I need to, I need to go defend people or just innocent people, from dying or this. I guess she was calling it or they called it like the war to end all wars or something.
Wars.
Yeah,
that's what they actually did call it. They
Yeah,
thought,
yeah.
Back then, they actually thought that would fucking destroy the entire world.
Oh,
Like,
okay, that's true.
It was nasty.
Yeah.
It was
Anyways, I
a
felt like there
war.
was a little bit of inconsistency there, and that's probably carried over for me like the entire time.
I mean, it's like,
Well-
you can't compare a 15-year-old version of a person to their 25 or 26-year-old version of themselves. They changed.
I mean, it wasn't even a 15-year-old version.
no,
I mean,
it
she
was like
young
a
kid.
10
And that was-
it was a kid, and then it flashed forward with her training, and she was definitely like 12 or 13. The first version of her was like 8 or 9. Yeah, and then it goes to Gal Gadot.
But see, here's my counter to that a little bit, Chan, is that she didn't have a destiny when you saw her running around as curious as she was, right? She didn't run into the sword. She didn't realize that, she might one day wield that weapon and fight Ares and all that shit. She kind of discovered that as she was getting older which, you know, led her to want to train and become the warrior that she was. And I feel like she was a more focused version, obviously, of her younger self. But I'm with Diction. I feel like she asked a lot of questions. It wasn't, things weren't just taken for granted or like for convenience sake, like weren't covered. Like I make a big complaint about in most, superhero movies, because things are just like accepted. But she was going into a new world, and I think she still kept that curiosity. She asked a lot of questions. She didn't seem content with a lot of the answers, even when they were given to her. She questioned more. You know, like I feel like she kept up with it.
Yeah, someone in the chat made a good point. Keep in mind the like her when she is seemingly like 12 years old. She's actually probably been alive for like 100 years. Like the Amazonians are fucking.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah,
almost ageless. Yeah, they
that was my next
very
question.
slowly.
Yeah, that was my next question.
She's actually like probably like 800 or so years old by the time she gets off the island. So she's been through some shit.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like,
Holy
in the comic though, it's not like just this weird like Bermuda Triangle area of the world. They have like their own world, don't they? Like in the comic, I believe, just like Asgard, like Thor has Asgard, like they have some Amazonian world. It's not like part of our world, I don't think. Anyways, I'll have to look it up. That was kind of confusing for me. I didn't know if that was like just a film adaptation of them wanting to have it kind of like this secret area out in the ocean somewhere that's been forever. And that was another question I had, was her age. Were they, because from what I remember, and again, this is all pretty shoddy about, you know, Wonder Woman, that they age super slow. They're pretty much gods, basically. Or, you know, I think
descendants from God.
Technically, she is a god, isn't she?
Yeah.
Like,
So
yeah, let's get the details of that, or just clarification for that, at least for me.
She's half god, half.
She's
Amazonian.
demigod, right? She's demigod,
yeah, she's
right?
demigod. Yeah.
So she can still die, right, from a bullet, right? Or that first scene where
it's like Hercules. Like he can die, but it has to be.
It's really hard to kill him. Yeah, it's really, really hard to kill her.
Okay,
hard
so
meaning
she,
what?
So she can die then.
Like bullets
I didn't know
can
she was like
kill her or
Superman,
no?
uber powerful
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, that was another thing. Like,
Yeah.
what happens if a bullet hurts her? Because I'm pretty sure that I've seen iterations where you shoot Wonder Woman and it bounces off like Superman.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. She might just always block them with her bracers and stuff. But
Ching, ching,
That's
ching.
Yeah.
I think it is blocking with the bracers, but how do you block with the bracers like all around you, right? So
Well, she
I'm
had her
wondering what
shield
happened.
out.
Shield.
Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a little unbelievable that a machine gun was shooting at her like that, and she just stood in front of it with a shield. But it's kind of picking at it. But
Well,
I'm looking it up
I
right
mean,
now.
it's a shield made by God. So.
Yeah, it's a shield made by gods. I
Well,
don't.
Like if Captain America can
Yeah,
have a
that's true.
shield
Oh,
made
that's
with
true. metal
from fucking Africa, you know, what's the name of the metal they use or something?
Vibranium.
Right?
Yeah,
Vibranium.
Yeah, from
yes.
Wakanda, where Black Panther's from. They
Hello
harvest
with
it and mine it.
Hello,
and
so
stuff.
smart.
Like alien
So, like,
material,
if
if
you
I
believe
remember
that-
correctly. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is alien material. That's right. Yeah, so I mean, if you compare her like during that scene, like I actually felt like she was vulnerable for the entire movie until the end. Until the end, literally, where it's just like, okay, she's just a god. Like, there's no way. It's like God versus
the
God
ending
fighting.
is the weak point of the film. I feel like everyone can agree on that.
I just
It
wanna,
goes
you know,
it goes from like
all right.
yes, dude, like the fucking.
I agree.
I
with
mean,
that.
like, okay, the twist about Ares, I didn't call it, and I thought that was interesting. Like, it's like, oh, so he's not pure evil. Like he's a manipulator. He's like he's not like this fucking
He's like the devil.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a devil. He is a devil because
Yeah,
the devil
he is like the devil.
manipulates people.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was cool, but then when it went into full-blown CGI explosion mayhem, I was like, I tuned out. Like both times, I watched it twice, and it was like both times I was like, okay, we saw this in fucking like every action scene in Man of Steel. Like this is. They
All right, Burke.
they were like riding.
What
They're
do you
riding
think?
really high here, and then they went.
All right, Burke. How about what was your thoughts on the last scene?
Oh man, it was so epic, dude! I was all about that, man. It's like, okay, what I love about him is Ares is like, oh, you thought I did all this? Oh no, these people did this.
Right.
These people are nuts. This is humanity
no
in its
problem with that.
rawest state.
No,
I
dude,
just
yeah.
was a mild participant in this.
Yeah,
So I like that they
that
did
whole
that.
realization to Diana that men are inherently
Yeah.
like good and evil, and they
yeah, like
they
we're
can do
flawed,
both.
exactly.
That part I like, but then the actual like fucking boss battle I thought was just like the worst looking CGI I've seen in a movie in a long time, and way too much of
she
it.
had to
Way
put
too
a
much of it.
stop to it, man. Like I had enough.
I know
of
it had
shit.
to get to. I know there had to be a climax, but like, and it was like I don't know, like action scenes where there aren't innocent people in jeopardy, like don't really do it for me that much. In like a superhero movie, you know, like we're like that's their point. They save people. They're there to protect people, and literally they're on a base full of fucking evil ass Germans trying to gas the world. So I had like no care for like whoever was in the fucking collateral damage of that
You didn't feel
sequence.
some
You know?
compassion for the poor Doctor Poison.
Not really, no.
A little compassion
She was-
for her.
she
She's
was
about
like,
to get a
obviously
car
manipulated.
thrown on her.
She's a psychopathic cunt. Like, who cares?
Wait, what was her name again?
I don't
Like,
even-
what the
oh,
fuck?
Dr.
It's like-
Poison?
Dr.
Dr.
Yeah,
Poison.
What
her real
the
name was.
fuck, man?
In the
It's
comics,
like
that-
calling Wonder Woman like Mrs. Punch Girl. You know, like
Well,
it's
no, that's
really weird. I know.
She
I
was
know
in the
it's-
comics, but like
I
apparently
know.
she's a man in the comic. It was a male character.
Oh,
Before.
she was a man in the comic?
Doctor.
What?
Yeah.
Why
She
did
had
you
a
make her a girl
change?
then? Why
Because
did
it's
they-
more interesting that way. That's like I was far more fascinated with her as a female who's like hell bent on creating the worst gas known to man. Like that's interesting to me. A dude doing it's like okay, there goes a guy trying to kill people again.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
there
Woman
goes
does it.
some dude wanting to fucking gas people to
Sex
death.
No, man, I thought the fight was cool, man. Like I don't know, like I guess I'm too stupid to like realize it, but like bad CGI, I just don't see it in it. You know what I mean? Like I don't see bad CGI anymore. I saw everything looks real. I was
was
like,
just-
oh my gosh, that exploded. Oh
it
gosh,
was
that
just-
exploded.
it was just
Oh,
really,
gosh, that
really-
happened over there. I
It was
freaking out.
mostly the Ares like CGI over David Thewlis, who's honestly I cannot take seriously as an action star. Like it's David Thewlis, dude.
It's hard. I'm like, isn't that lupus?
That's
Like,
Whenever I see him, I think of
Totally.
him and Mike Lee's Naked, where
Totally.
he's this fucking sociopathic, fast talking, like rapist character, and that's all I see every time I see him. And now with the new season of Fargo, I see him as that.
Yeah.
Right.
Fargo, like
MV Varga. Oh god. Jeez. What a
yeah, he's
character.
fucking. He pukes up everything. We got to talk about Fargo season 2 and 3, man. It's
We'll have to do that.
Explain that. That just does something he does. I don't know.
he's like an amazing actor for certain roles. But yeah, it was kind of weird when they tried to pawn him off as Ares. I was like,
I mean,
okay. Like, did you
Ludendorff.
pick him because we wouldn't suspect him because he doesn't look
Of
like
course
Ares?
they
Because,
did.
but like
What
the
of
thing
course
is, like
they
he looks
did.
so
What
not
were you
like Ares.
expecting? Some like freaking Big Show walking out with his WWE belt going, yeah, see, I done all this.
Well, it was
Oh,
Ludendorff
no, no,
too,
no.
right?
I'm
It was
thinking-
Ludendorff
I'm
too.
think-
But
I'm thinking that like Ares, that's like a shroud. That human form is like because like he's a god, right?
Yeah,
Like that's not
how
what
I
he
took
looks
it
like.
too.
He doesn't look like a human. He looks like a god. So
Yeah,
I'm thinking that he chose that form to be as like unassuming as possible.
I think his
Okay.
form was that metal on his armor that he put on. That's Ares.
That's his
you know?
Yeah,
But
that's
then he
Ares.
still had the
That
David
is Ares.
Thewlis face in the armor, and that's the part that I was like giggling at. I was like,
Busted.
true.
I didn't even realize that until now. That is so true.
David Thewlis is God of War.
God. All right, so here's a question.
Kratos.
So Ares, that when they were telling the story of Ares, he did get injured, right, during that initial fight, or the whole backstory, the whole thing. So
yeah, Zeus like
bolted him for
sucker
the
punched
last.
him out
Yeah,
of heaven or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was this whole thing about the sword being the god killer, right? In the end, she didn't do anything with the sword to him. She ended up lightning bolting him again, or
No,
you know,
because-
Yeah, because
No, she's the god killer, not the
sword.
sword.
Oh,
wasn't
she's the
it.
god
They-
killer. That's
That was
right, that's
false.
right.
She
That's
is the
right,
god
okay.
killer.
So he's officially dead now, right?
Yeah, he did his shit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
That's-
doesn't he come back in the comic or something? Oh, by the
Probably.
way, I looked it up. Wonder Woman is vulnerable to anything that cuts or pierces, including bullets. Though they have had some one-off stuff that is non-canon, where she has deflected bullets with her boobs. Other than that, there's nothing, and I'm not even joking. I'm not
Why?
even joking. I literally read down this
Why?
while you guys were talking. I literally read down this whole thing, and the only thing where she's deflected was once off of her in the same clip. It's off of her face, and then all of them off of her tits. But anyways, and also she She is not from another planet, and she doesn't come from another dimension or anything like that. In the comic, it is a moon-shaped island that is in the Aegean Sea, and yeah, so that's all canon.
So
I don't know.
It's basically Santorini in the Aegean Sea.
Pretty much.
Okay. All right.
Yes, but so just to clear up all those questions, I was researching while you guys were talking, and yeah, sorry.
Thank you for doing
You're
that.
busy
Yeah, no problem.
looking for bullet bouncing boobs.
Because I know there's some
Important
nerds.
questions, thank you.
I know there's
Yes.
some nerds in the chat that are just ripping their hair out right now. Like, yo, you're from the Aegean Sea. What are these idiots doing? What do they think they're doing a podcast? Like, I know that's happening, so I want to help that guy and just figure this shit out.
Hey, can I just
Calm
say
down,
that
guy.
when my movie finished, this was Thursday night. It says 7 p.m. that we saw it. When it ended, that last scene where it shows her jumping from the bell tower, and then the credits roll, the entire audience stood up and cheered. And we're talking about a packed theater here.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that in
I was in a
Really?
packed theater, and it
Remember
was
the last
the
time this
audience
happened.
response was like when I saw
Really?
Get Out, dude. It was just like
They
crazy.
stood up and
roar
clapped and
for
cheered,
emotions.
man.
Holy smokes! Wow, that didn't happen in my theater. But
I think people clapped in my theater, but it wasn't
Yeah.
like, conga lines out to the fucking parking lot or anything, which I've seen.
I
have
gotta
seen
admit,
that.
I live in Indianapolis, man. So like, that's not something I normally see. Usually I see, all right, that was a pretty good, decent film right there. I'm going to go get some chicken. That's pretty much about the extent of what Indianapolis usually does. So see people cheer and clap. It was interesting.
It was highly acclaimed, right? It got good reviews, right? I mean, it was well liked by people. I imagine, right? I mean, that's what I've heard. I haven't really looked into it. Somebody help
Why are
me
people
out.
in the chat getting shitting on clapping at a movie? You realize people work really hard on these things, right?
people
Like,
clap all the
like,
time.
even though
You
the
should
movie-
only clap
you know
at
the
People clap all the
movie-
time in movies. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
even
normal
if the
thing.
movie is a fucking completely placid thing that can't respond to your clapping, like if you enjoyed it, celebrate. Like, what the fuck's wrong with celebrating a movie you really liked? Honestly,
I'm with chat.
why are you all cold and dead inside? What the fuck's wrong with I don't care if the people that worked hard can't hear me. I want to clap. Eat my penis.
It's
Like,
more for the
oh.
rest of the audience. Everybody else is clapping, so we all just kind of
yeah, dude.
in.
Like, how often you get to celebrate with a crowd of strangers together? Like, that's fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, what's the best?
Every Friday night at my family's orgy party.
Shame on you for enjoying things loudly. Ugh.
Well, what's funny with clapping in the theater is that it's like there's a lot of people that think about clapping, but they won't clap. But then that one crazy person that's just like
Someone's gotta
all
start
out
it,
clapping,
yeah.
then everybody
Someone's
starts
gotta
clapping.
start the clapping.
It's like the wave.
That's
Like,
how it
everyone else has
goes.
to feel comfortable clapping along with like another person.
You know what? And that's the guy that'll save you in a fire.
That's
You know,
right.
he's the guy.
That's
He's the one that
right.
runs towards danger. He's the hero. He's the real hero, guys. is
He's the
guy
one you
that
want to hang
starts
out
the
with.
clapping.
Everybody else is boring.
No,
Shame.
I don't want to hang out with that
Oh my
dude
God.
because when he starts clapping, I'm like, shut the fuck up. You're going to start a whole thing. I'm like, don't draw attention to us. Don't.
Whoa.
Do somebody?
Oh,
Hello?
no, I'm here. Sorry. So
Okay, sorry.
Wanted to invite. Oh, I wanted not invite, but I'll actually invite too. But I want to remind everybody that you guys can join us, join our conversation if you guys want. You can call in by going to this address here or this URL here in Discord, and Monkey Overlord will get you ready. Like, make sure all your audio is good, so whenever I pull you in, that you're ready to go with your question and whatnot. But I know a lot of people are always chatting about whatever movie we are, especially Wonder Woman today. And if you guys want to tell Ella or tell Diction that he's wrong today, it's all good. You can just like hop on. You just hop
Yeah,
on
and I'll
right
kick
now.
you out of the Discord. And ban you from the Can we
So
talk
listen,
about?
man.
Can we talk about the reverse male gaze for a second in the
What?
movie?
Which
So
what?
male gaze is it's a term for in a lot of movies. It's a shot reverse shot, right, where a guy is looking at a girl and the girl notices him looking at her. So a guy will be like checking
Oh,
out a
okay,
girl,
okay,
and she
yeah,
looks at him, kind of
gotcha.
smiles, and acknowledges that the guy is checking her out. And so it's like it's like basically if you have that in your movie, you fail the Bechdel test. Like you completely fail it right away. And so like this was directed by a woman, Patty Jenkins, and so they reversed that and like the scene where Chris Pine is completely naked and vulnerable and Wonder Woman's the one who's giving the male gaze, right? And so she's looking at him curiously because she's never seen a dick
What is
before,
that thing?
never seen a full man before, and he's responding to her in kind with embarrassment and like
Okay, yeah.
like caution and so I thought that scene was brilliant, and I got to give props for Chris Bryan for totally getting it, like getting the stigma of the male gaze and just like rolling with it and allowing himself to be vulnerable and be the like the fucking centerpiece of the stare and everything. And then like later on where she's like they're on the boat and she's like, you can sleep next to me, it's fine, I don't care, and he's like super reserved about it and shit. Like I thought that was fucking awesome. That was like, that made me so, I was just like, I had a big shitting grin on my face the entire time. I was like, that's so nice to see that finally. Like that's really, really nice. I like that.
What did you guys think of Chris Pine in general in this movie?
Oh, he's a dreamboat.
I thought he was good.
I'd let him lick my asshole. That was awesome.
Wow.
Wow, lucky him.
Wow. we found Dixon's Ryan Gosling here. Wow, okay.
Okay, so there's so many things I want to say. There's so many things that have been said.
Okay.
Let's back up a second. Okay, so first of all, this film I especially liked because of, and this is just in a small part to what Diction said, a lot of the stereotypical shit didn't happen, or if it did, it was done in reverse and wasn't given like just a ton of spotlight. It was very subtle.
It wasn't ham-fisted.
Yeah, it wasn't ham-fisted. It was probably, and the one thing I hate about watching films directed by women, especially, and I hate saying this,
because you're a sexist.
It's that, no. it's because I feel like whenever I watch it, that there is a level of sexism against men in a lot of those things. Like they go so far
like purposefully,
to
yeah.
women.
Well, there's like 120 years of
yeah, of course.
the reverse of that. So.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying personally, I don't like to watch things where it's like, yay, women power to the point where we're beating down our male characters. I don't like it either way. I'm about equality, and that means not beating down the other
feminism
person.
Is the equality.
Correct. Yes, exactly. So I would like equality, and I felt like this film did a really, really, really good job of that. They didn't make, because the woman character is very smart and pretty much she's a fucking god basically. They didn't make the other male characters seem like fucking idiots either. All of the characters pretty much had redeeming qualities. The males weren't dumb and stupid. They were capable. They were brave. She was as well, though she was naive to the world. So they kind of helped integrate her, but she learned quickly. It wasn't like we were beating down either gender. I don't feel like either gender was stereotyped. I think they represented both genders very well. That director did, and I was very, 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 very excited about that.
I really like the scene with Charlie after it's like been they make it clear that he's suffering from PTSD and he can't shoot people anymore. Like he can't do it. And instead of like calling him a coward or whatever, she like invites, like he's ready to leave and she invites him back into their group because he's a human being and it doesn't matter. Like it's fine. If he doesn't want to shoot people, that's fine. He's still a person and he's still a part of their group. And like I thought that was a really beautiful moment, that it was just like we who's gonna sing for us, Charlie? And I was like, oh man.
Yeah, and that's exactly exactly what I'm talking about. Is like, and you didn't get that redeeming moment from him. You didn't need it, right? Most of the time it's like, oh, he messed up the sniper shot, and then by the end of the film, he'll make some incredible shot to like, oh, that's why he's on the team, like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
he got past his PTSD. He did.
I'll just say, like right now, Patty Jenkins has got her ticket. I mean, she's got a blank check basically, because right now DC's looking at her as the one who saved DC universe right now.
And
so they're like, we got all these other movies, Patty.
She had to fight for the movie that we got. Apparently, that whole No Man's Land sequence, like she had to fight tooth and nail to allow like W to pay for the shoot for that. Like she was like, no, this is important. This is like the moment where you like, it's like the Wonder Woman moment where you really see what she's capable
It was
of,
the moment
where she stands up against the odds, and apparently WB was really pushing back on her for a lot of the shit she tried to put in the movie, and then she ended up winning. And guess what? It's according to the box office, it's about to surpass Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. Like
Thank
Hey,
God.
WB, listen to your fucking directors.
Exactly.
If they want to do
Yeah, why
something,
do
let
they
them do
always
it.
do that?
Like,
Why do they
'cause
always
they
do
wanna
that?
control it.
They
They
bring
wanna
the
control the
director and then they
narrative.
want to no, we got to change everything.
That's because
Yeah,
that's because they
money,
want to cookie cut
money.
everything. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah,
like
and
they
they're
just-
really they're super obsessed with their battle with the Marvel universe. Like they want to do a better job at making a shared universe, but they're focusing too hard on that instead of like the reason Marvel universe is good is because they establish their characters
No
with their
kidding.
own movies. You know,
Yeah. I mean,
and
are
they-
any of us under the delusion that like Justice League is actually going to be a good movie?
yeah.
No,
I
hold
mean,
on.
honestly, look,
listen-
there was 5 movies before we got Avengers.
Ben
5.
Affleck's in the movie. Okay, it's not going to be a good movie.
No, there was like
Yeah.
7. Wait,
I
no.
mean,
I have
Yeah,
to
there
listen.
were 5 movies before we got Avengers, man. And this they have they got Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman,
No, there
Wonder
was, like,
Woman, and that's
Iron
it.
Man,
That's the only
Thor,
movies they
Captain
got. You can't even
America,
count Suicide Squad. This is not even going to have
Incredible
anything to do with Justice League.
Iron
They're
Man
going to cram all these other heroes down your throat
Yeah,
with
but-
no backstory to them at all. Even though, like, we know who Flash is, we know who Cyborg is, but the rest of it's just
Well, a lot of
Dude,
them
that's-
have
that's-
a lot of them have
Yeah.
TV shows though too, right?
yeah,
Like-
yeah,
yeah, but they're not
a lot of them do.
No,
Well,
like
that's the thing that makes no sense is because there's a fucking Flash TV show with a completely different version of it.
I know
Yeah.
he is.
And like,
yeah.
and so it's like they're not even combining that. Whereas like Marvel has done like their TV shows tie into the cinematic universe in
Sure.
some way, you know.
Yeah, with
Whereas
agents.
DC, it's like Arrow and
Mhm.
shit. Like none of that's gonna actually factor into their movies.
Yeah.
So it's
how
like
are they
they're-
going to tell a good story?
Hold
Because they
on.
have to introduce all these extra characters. They have to do it for
they should
all
have done
of them
Aquaman
now.
first for sure. they
Yeah,
should have had a
and, like,
standalone first.
I don't even know what the hell Cyborg
Well, they-
is.
they
Like,
got
that's
one-
the one that I
yeah.
just don't know.
They
You
got
know what I mean?
one coming out, right? They got the Aquaman one coming out. Here's my
they're
thing.
doing it out of sequence. Like
They're
it
doing it out of
comes Wonder
sequence.
Woman was
After the-
introduced in
the-
Batman v
the
Superman,
Justice
and
League.
now
Justice
it's-
League
All right,
comes
wait,
out in
wait,
November.
Ello.
Okay. Here's I'm not a big superhero movie guy anyways, all right? But I will say that I've enjoyed more DC movies when it comes to film in the few that they've done as opposed to Marvel, who's made a bunch of films, and I feel like I've liked
Are you
fewer of
talking?
them.
Are you talking like Christopher Nolan Batman?
Yes,
like,
Christopher
Oh,
Nolan,
okay.
Batman.
Batman,
Oh,
is-
okay,
Batman,
well,
is-
Batman.
sure. Batman
I'm
is-
talking like in this. Okay, so DC has made this amount of films. Marvel's made this amount of films, but I've liked a ratio of more of DC films than I have of Marvel films, and I think that has to do a lot with the fact that I care more about the Marvel characters. And I think that I'm more critical with them than I am with DC. Most of the time I'll walk in and I'll just be like, okay, DC, I don't give a fuck about this universe. Like, I can just sit here and enjoy this, that kind of thing. So, I mean, there is that factor to it, but I don't want to I'm not going to count out DC. DC has done some incredible movies. I've enjoyed, several of them very much. And while I agree with you, at the end of the day, I'm not going to make a judgment on it or say that how can they make a good movie, because they've made good movies. They have made good movies. They can make another good movie. But I agree with your sentiment. I just think that I got hope. I have some hope.
I'm with Burke.
Justice League.
I'm with Burke on this
That's fine.
one.
That's totally fine. That's
It's-
totally fine.
I don't think it's gonna be good.
You've also thought that Wonder Woman wasn't good.
No,
So,
I didn't
mean,
say
your
Wonder Woman
opinion
wasn't
today-
good.
No, your
I
opinion
said I
today,
liked
Chan.
the movie. I just said
I'm
that.
joking.
I just said some of her acting was terrible. I mean,
I liked the movie. I just hated everything about it.
no. I think
I'm joking, Chan. I'm
I
joking.
just said that Gal Gadot was horrible at acting during emotional scenes. That's all I said.
I just get to
So-
play the other side of this, so I'm really having a lot of fun right now.
No, I mean, like, I feel like at least with the Avengers, the Flash point is really a good point, because the Flash on the TV show is, more like Supergirl, right? And the Flash that you see in the movie, I think I like the Flash that's in the movie.
Oh yeah,
more.
there's Supergirl too.
Yeah.
I forgot they have.
Yeah,
she has
so-
a lot of shows. Damn.
Yes, I mean that one's more light, like what they do with those type of shows. So I like the Flash that they have in the movie, but the rest of them, I mean, we're talking about Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, and what's his face from Game of Thrones, the guy who's playing Aquaman.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah, Jason Momoa. So I mean,
I almost said Dothraki.
yeah, exactly, Dothraki, right?
Entire Dothraki race. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
the entire Dothraki.
So I don't know, those guys. I'm not sure about all three of them together in an acting gig. They all look the part. They all look great, but I just feel like if there's going to be any depth to this movie, Man, those guys probably can't do it. That's what I'm thinking, at least
They're
beforehand.
just
like,
rushing it. I
from
feel
the
like they're just
fucking-
rushing it. That's all.
Yeah, from like the longer trailer, it's just like first of all, the cyborg, like them CGIing his suit on is like the stupidest idea ever. Just make a suit.
Did they really? They
if
CGI'd
it's-
it?
Yeah, it's
Oh, wow.
CGI. If you
Oh my
like,
God.
honestly, like
Okay.
this is tried and true. If you use practical effects, they look better than CG 9 out of 10 times, and especially with like uniforms and suits and stuff. Like I get it if it's like okay, this character's supposed to be 7 feet tall or some
Yeah.
shit. Okay, like cheat it, but like literally the dude just is RoboCop with part of his face. Make a fucking suit. Like, why do you have? He looks like he's being eaten by an Nvidia card. Like, it's fucking stupid. Looks terrible.
Is it a 1080?
The 1080 Ti.
No, it's not. It's like
1080
600
cyborg.
Yeah, it's some earlier model.
And from the looks of it, it looks like they're pulling the dark side card right off the bat.
No, they don't.
What?
Someone said they CGI Iron Man suit when he's flying. But like when he's walking around and stuff, a lot of the time that's a practical suit.
I don't know. I don't know one way or the other.
Okay, so this might
Exactly.
be.
See, when you blend CGI with practical effects, it's more convincing. Whereas like everything we see with Cyborg is just like he's like that actor must be hating himself. He's just green screened the entire time. Like that sucks, dude.
So, did you guys used to watch the Justice League show way back when, like a long time ago? Like
I
the
watched
cartoon.
Super
The
Friends.
cartoon. The
I
animated
watched
one, yeah.
Super Friends.
Okay. I don't know why this is like ingrained in my head, but Aquaman had blonde hair in that series, right? What color
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Aquaman? What does Aquaman actually look like in the comics?
He's like the whitest guy ever. He's
Yeah,
like
he's
your
like
next door
super
neighbor
fucking
white
white.
guy.
He's not Jason
Like,
Momoa.
No, he's not Jason Momoa.
Okay,
And
okay.
personally,
Yeah, he's super blonde in like all these pictures I'm looking at on Google. Oh my god, he's like only
Okay.
blonde. Yeah.
yeah, he's like when you think about like a Pleasantville era next door neighbor, perfect husband type. Like that's what he looks like. Like,
Yeah.
hi neighbor,
Yeah.
how are you doing today? You know, that kind of like
Okay.
Fallout 4 kind of shit. Yeah, that's what he looks
But
like.
like honestly, I like Jason Momoa better. I like the look of him.
I don't want to do
That's
anything that
Aquaman,
further Jason Momoa's career, and not because I think he's a bad actor, and not because I don't like him. It's because Cora has a natural fascination with him, and he's on the list of celebrities we're allowed to have sex with if the opportunity arises. and here's the
Jason
thing:
Momoa is a
very
perfect
good,
Aquaman.
so-
Then
she's met him, and he slapped her in the ass, and I'm just just a very.
and you have to be okay with that, right? You
And
have
I
to be
have to be
okay with
it. It's
that.
a loophole, so
Maybe you should
he's allowed
just work.
to do what he
Hey,
wants.
Ello, maybe you should work harder on your fucking.
I know
celebrity
who's
crush,
on your
okay?
list, dude. Wait. We should know this addiction. Like, who's on his list? It's
I
Ah.
actually don't think he told me. Christina
I
Hendricks.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, everyone with a penis. Come on.
oh my,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, yes. Rachel McAdams, Zoe
Oh,
Deschanel. I mean,
okay,
I'll-
okay.
I can.
Man, how
I got
long
a
are
list
these
You're only
going.
lists?
allowed- Wait, I thought
How
you were only
long
allowed
are these
one.
lists? This is
We
crazy.
got like a top 5. I don't know.
Oh, top
okay,
five.
okay. All right.
I'm just
Well,
saying that I don't know. It's like in what was it, Braveheart? You know, like the prima noctum or whatever, or like like they're allowed to sleep with the wife before the marriage or something,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
by right of the king. Like that's basically this is law. She's allowed to have sex.
It's
So
long.
I have to be very careful.
Okay.
And there's no way I'm pretty enough to get any of the women I want. But Cora can pull it off. On a drunken night, Cora can fuck a star. She could. She really could.
Hey, so we got some callers though. We got like a bunch of them.
Oh, cool.
Let's just pull some in. So Aeon,
Okay.
I say it's Eon of Aeon, who's
Oh, Eon
I think
of
yeah,
Aeon.
he's been a caller before. Let's pull him on. He's usually a comic expert, so I'm expecting some good things.
Yeah, he's gonna
Oh,
drop
here
some
we go.
serious knowledge
Yeah.
on us.
Yeah.
Eon, what's up, man?
Sup?
What's up? All right,
right,
yeah,
Eon.
we're ready. We're
Give
ready
us
to be
all-
schooled here, man.
Yeah, give us all the nerd information.
Exactly.
To be fair, I'm not quite as versed on DC, but I know
Okay.
some things.
Okay.
So the first one I just wanted to touch on was actually they're a sovereign nation in the comics. The Amazon island is a recognized sovereign nation with their own like currency and their own like UN panel and stuff like that.
What?
Modern day, but not during the time of the film, right? Like World War One time.
They're starting to come out during World War One of the isolation, but they're not Bermuda Triangle. That's a whole movie.
Yeah, I just used that as like an example.
Yeah,
I didn't really. Yeah. Okay.
There was an image that's been going around on the internet that I thought was kind of like bittersweet. I figured I'd pop you guys on it, see if you got your opinion. And it was we saw our princesses grow up to be generals, and it was Robin's general from Wonder Woman, and Carrie Fisher as Leia as a general in Star Wars. And it just kind of struck me that both of them are killed or set to be killed, and that kind of like, I don't know, kind of bums me out to think about it personally, because like these are two really famous actresses with really good characters, and they're really important icons, and they have such good roles, and it kind of bums me out seeing that like with all these really important nerd movies coming up, their characters are being killed off. That just strikes me as weird.
Well, I mean, Carrie Fisher died in real life.
That is true. Yeah, no, that one makes
and they're
sense.
saying that they had to rewrite entirely Episode 9 of Star Wars, and they're going to treat it gently. They're not going to be like, oh, she fucking fell down an elevator shaft or something. You know, like they're going to.
Yeah, they're going to be killing her off in between 8 and 9. All of her scenes are finished, so I'm glad for that.
Robin Wright's character, like her death served a purpose.
Was badass. Yeah. It was pretty badass. Let's be honest.
Yeah, like it wasn't just like they killed her off. Like she died saving Diana and selflessly, you know, and like she died in battle, and it gave Diana pause because all she's known her life is like fighting, right? But she's never actually witnessed a death. She didn't. It wasn't. Well, that was like a new thing for her.
Yeah, it propelled her to the next
propelled her
stage.
Yeah, it compelled her character to do what she did.
That was Jenny from Forrest Gump. Oh my gosh, how old are we?
That was
the Princess Bride. Princess Bride.
Princess Bride. Princess Buttercup.
Bride, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Claire Underwood.
Underwood, yeah.
One other thing. A lot of people were talking about gods in the chat, and I was getting in on that conversation. And there's actually something that the actor and the director revealed in an interview that I thought was really cool. And they very respectfully put in a Native American trickster god into the movie. The Native American guy, he is Napi, the demigod of tricks and guidance for the Blackfoot tribe in North America. And that is an official now canon thing in the movie.
That's
cool. And I thought it was really cool because they were actually speaking in the Blackfoot language, and it was completely untranslated. So it was actually him in the Blackfoot language saying, I am Napi, the trickster god, which is the only reason she shook his hand. He's the only character to have
That's
his
why I
hand
noticed
shaken
that
by
like
Wonder Woman.
both times I was like everyone would extend their hand to her and she wouldn't shake it because she didn't like care, right?
Wow.
She didn't give it a shit. And then that was the first character. Yeah, the first character she shook the hand of was the Indian guy.
Oh man,
that's fucking awesome.
Now
that's so
I'm racist because I don't remember that at all.
I'm right there with you, Ello. I actually don't remember it either. I'm going to have to look at that again.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Napi is spelled N-A-P-I, and it's a really cool thing because they go more into depth on it. And like, he's the creator of humankind in Blackfoot mythology and stuff like that. His actual like god name kind of is Old Man, just Old Man, and Old Woman was his wife, and they created mankind and so on and so forth. And there's a respectful reason in relation to Blackfoot history and mythology for why he was in World War I during that time, and it's not just because he's a trickster and he's a guider. It has more to do with stuff that I will confess I'm not well versed in, but they explained some of it, and I was like, wow, I like that. Bravo.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't.
cool.
I didn't even remember that. Now I have to go back and I like when films do that. Like they
Yeah,
add
that's
little
really
things
cool.
in and don't tell anybody, or you know, they pop up later. You know, okay. Rewinding a little bit back to your first point. I don't think that like it doesn't get me sad. You know how you said about the thing about the
your princesses.
your
women.
princess growing up becoming generals and stuff like that. I mean, here's the thing: is that any figure that works as sort of a mentor figure usually dies in films. It doesn't matter if they're if they're women or men. I mean, Qui-Gon,
it's usually part of
everybody,
the hero's
you know.
journey.
Yeah, I think
kind of
that's
the
just
norm.
kind of the hero's journey is you have your
It's-
teacher.
It's generations.
Usually something, So I'm not too sad about that just because I feel like that's not gender specific. That's across the map. But yeah, about this, that's super, super obscure and super weird. There's actually a comic book, one of my favorite comic books of all time, maybe my favorite, like number one, is called Fables. And I don't think we could ever do Fables here on the show because it's so extensive. It would have to be like a 20-part series or something.
Yeah.
But it wraps up all sorts of stuff like that. They're like what you just talked about. It just wraps every mythological figure, legends, gods, everything from so many different cultures, and they wrap them all up into kind of a cool story. And so you mentioning that, I love shit like that. I've always been a big fan of just gods and that kind of whimsical nature that they have and how they can pop up places. So I'll have to rewatch the film and check that out because I totally fucking missed that.
Kind of love it.
As a Marvel fan, did you know they stuck Walrus into Guardians too?
Yeah, I saw Howard the Duck.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit.
No, I saw Howard the Duck, but Walrus?
He revealed the picture during the early scenes in the sex bot scene. He had a portrait of Walrus, the walrus character, I guess you could say, from the Marvel universe.
Oh, that's right.
I didn't see
I think
that.
I remember seeing that.
Apparently, they also tied in the reason Stan Lee shows up in all the Marvel movies. Because he's like, he's with the Watchers on that planet, and he's telling them like, "Oh, this one time I was a FedEx delivery guy," and so basically in every single Marvel movie that he's appeared in, he's just a fucking space traveler, and he travels through time and space. He's like he just travels through time and space and does
like
random roles.
Expose him as like the one. What's the god of Marvel? I forget what it's called. Like, it's the one above the Living Tribunal. What's it called? Anyway, there's like an all-powerful uber god of Marvel, and they should say that that's who Stan Lee is.
One above
all.
That would make sense.
Yeah, one above all.
That would totally make sense.
DC has an equivalent that they used for a comic crossover in the 90s. It was really cool.
All right, Aeon. So we've got a few more callers. So thanks for calling in again, giving us the lowdown. It's always awesome.
Nice little tidbits there.
Exactly. Amazing.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay, let's pull in, looks like Elder Evil. Actually, let me give him a little heads up here before.
We haven't even talked about the movie being banned.
It was banned, right?
In what? Where?
Yeah, that's a little bit of trivia. Can you guys guess where this movie was banned?
Germany?
Now, what is it? I'll give you a hint. It was a Middle Eastern country, I believe.
Yes.
Oh,
Well,
Saudi Arabia?
It's kind of right on the cusp there, if I'm correct.
And then you could probably guess why it was banned.
No, well, you would, yeah. It's Lebanon is what it is. So.
Oh, Lebanon. Okay.
Yeah, and the reason they banned the film was because she is of Israeli heritage.
Yeah, Gal Gadot is, right.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So they banned it. Yeah, and I originally thought it was just. I don't know if this makes it any better, like that it's not this, but I thought it was originally a sexist thing. I thought it was because it was a woman sort of in power is what I originally thought. So my ignorance, I just was reading up on it before the show and stuff, and it was apparently just because of the fact that she's Israeli, which is, again, I don't know if that's any better, but you know, at least it's. I had like this whole rant about like sexism and shit, and like not allowing this in the film. That I read that, I'm like, oh, I got no grounds for this rant now, so fuck me. All right.
Gosh, I guess they lost.
Keep doing what you've been doing for hundreds of years, I guess. I don't know what to tell. Lebanon.
Darn.
They really wanted that Lebanese crowd for the fucking box office revenue, didn't they?
Missed out on that one.
Well, we've got a couple callers, but they're not responding here. They were ready to go before, but so we'll
damn, you respond.
Well, you guys were busy talking, man, so I couldn't pull them in just out of nowhere.
Now you can do it now.
You can.
Okay, we just do it. We'll just do it. We'll see if they're around. Here we go. All right, let's see. Elder, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, are you there? Okay, I was trying to message you to make sure you were around.
Oh, sorry.
Well, welcome to the show. You got any questions or any points to add to our discussion?
The question I had was I took my 9-year-old daughter with me, and I got to say that taking her with me it did so much more for me in watching her watch the movie than just me watching the movie by myself. So I guess I'm curious, did any of you guys think to bring like significant others, or Ello, I know you have a daughter, like
I thought about bringing my cat.
I brought my son. I went with my son. Like my 11-year-old.
My parents
son.
went with me.
Yeah.
My dad clapped, and he doesn't clap for shit. So
Okay, so what really happened was Burke's parents took him.
Yeah. he needed a ride to the theater.
wow.
so happy. Mama said let's go see the movie.
I stream video games. Take me to the movies.
It's PG-13. He needed his parents' consent to get in.
Mom, we have to go see it, Daddy.
My 2.5-year-old would be like, swords. You know, like
Swords
she
are
wouldn't
cool.
understand. She's too busy playing Zelda these days.
Right.
No, she wouldn't understand. She's too young. But I could see me taking a 9-year-old her and being really excited about her seeing the film, and just I feel like the messages that it has were were strong, and I think that they melded well with what I believe. Like, again, back to that equality, the showing of, you know, kind of good nature towards both genders in the film. I think everybody, like we discussed, you know, and going back over it, were pretty heroic and were redeeming and had flaws, like the sniper guy, you know, but they still had him around. You know, Dixon talked about all this. So I can see why you would feel that way 100%. And I can see myself in the future, you know, watching the movie, you know, with Junie and feeling that way. But I did take Cora with me when we usually go see the films together, kind of as a date night whenever we do a film for the show. So kind of works in date night with, you know, what I have to do for the podcast. And we had a good time. I think I would have enjoyed it. I mean, I always enjoy things more with Cora there as opposed to not, and just as a rule of thumb. I mean, I'm kind of in love with her. I have a child with her. But no, I don't. I mean, yes, yeah, but I think it would have been more important to see it with Junie when she was older than it would be to see it with Cora. So I get that sentiment 100%.
Yeah, I
It's
do.
good that young
The
girls.
movie's like, it's
Yeah,
not
it's good
that
that young girls
dark.
have a good.
No, it's not dark at all.
role
It's not
model.
dark. It's actually got a really good, hopeful message in it. You know, it's
Yeah.
great
Yes.
to take your kids to go see it.
Yeah, I think
So
so.
like fucking
I mean,
Man of Steel, where it's like I'm depressed for 2 hours, and then I'm gonna fucking murder Zod and an entire city. It's like, all right, Superman, calm down, bro.
Yeah.
every parent should know their child and whether or not they should take them and all that good stuff too. You know, that all being said, but I think that Junie, when she's older, hopefully will be mature enough to be able to watch it at 9 and understand.
And by then, they'll probably have Wonder Woman 3, so you can just take her to the whole trilogy.
That's right.
yeah,
right.
seriously.
Pretty much guaranteed to get a 3 at this point.
As long as they have the same director, please don't
Yeah.
hire
I
somebody.
think they
She's
haven't
dope,
terribly.
officially greenlit it, but Patty Jenkins went on record saying she'd love to come back and do another
Well,
one.
I think Patty lobbied to do this movie, didn't she? Like she's wanted to do a Wonder Woman movie for a while, and so I think she'd be perfectly happy doing 2 or 3 or 5.
Mhm.
I don't know what you'd
Yeah.
come up with in 5, but
Well, she can't escape now. She's
No.
she's
I know she's pulling the
they're not
Ryan
gonna let her
Reynolds.
go anywhere.
That's
now.
what she's doing because Ryan Reynolds pushed for Deadpool. Like he even pulled out his
Yeah.
own money,
Yep, that's
to
right.
get that movie made. Now that it's been made and it was a huge blockbuster, now he's going, yeah, it's time for you boys to pay up. And that's exactly what Patty's doing now. It's time to pay up, boys.
They
He's gonna
just
get her
revealed that the kid from Hunt for the Wilder People is going to be in Deadpool 2. That is going to be the funniest movie ever. That kid is fucking hysterical.
Who is that?
Like, he's
Who
gonna-
kid is that?
You ever see Hunt for the? Oh, it's so good.
Let's
It's Taika Waititi, the guy that made like Flight of the Conchords and What We Do in the Shadows, that mockumentary about the vampires in New Zealand,
Mhm.
and he's doing Thor Ragnarok. He's amazing. He's like, I love that man.
That
But
kid.
he did a movie called
Oh,
Hunt for the
yeah.
Wilder People like 2 years ago. I think it's on Netflix. It's amazing. It's hysterical, and he got this kid who'd never acted before to play like the main character, and he's fucking like I can't express how funny this kid is. He's just extraordinarily talented, and he's gonna be in Deadpool. There's like he posted a picture of the kid like riding on Deadpool's back, and he's like pointing and shit. It's gonna be great. He's gonna steal the show. He's so fucking funny.
Good stuff. All right, Elder. Thanks, buddy.
thank you.
All right, we got Harry next. Harry Dresden. Hey, Harry, you there? Harry?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up,
Yo.
buddy? Welcome to the show. Hello?
Well, sorry. I had to mute it so I don't get sick.
Uh,
If I hear my voice, I get sick.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and mute the stream. You got a question for us or anything?
I just had a couple of points. First one's gonna get real tin hatty. The
Oh,
and you guys
good.
mentioned the invisible jet. That was actually a plug, like it was a plug from the government man, but like to like help normalize like stealth technology. It was-
really.
Yeah, So when the B-52 Blackbird came out, it was actually very scrupulous and kind of immoral. Like you got to remember, like Wonder Woman was very like Star Spangled Awesome for the American people,
Of course.
but yet it's still very American people were very moral like back then, and so it was like, wait, we can just like murder tons of people without them knowing. All right, that's a little messed up even for us.
So it's kind of like a what is it, like a rules of engagement kind of thing, like no flamethrowers, no.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So as a way to sort of normalize it, they gave her an invisible jet.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's
I'm surprised they didn't give it to
crazy.
Superman. I mean, I know he flies everywhere, but like the government would still make him use it.
Right.
Batman
Yeah.
had it.
Batman
stealth jet,
definitely
too.
did. Yeah, Batman did.
And then just another point. I want to go back to what ChanManV said about how when she got older, she kind of lost that innocence that, I'm going to go play kickball with the other kids.
Well,
And
it's not, of course, she's not playing kickball when she's 25 years old.
Well,
But,
technically, Chan, at 25, she's still the equivalent of maybe a 2-year-old, so she might actually
No,
still
she's
play
equivalent to a
kickball at
400-year-old.
25. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But and most of my stuff where I'm getting my Wonder Woman things is I loved the Justice League Unlimited on Cartoon Network when I was in like junior high.
Mhm.
And the island of Themyscira actually houses the main gates to the realm of Hades. So it's kind of hard to be really jovial when lots of outside forces are literally trying to crack open the apocalypse.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, damn.
So
Didn't know that.
Heavy is the crown, the woman who rules that island. Jesus Christ! So basically, the underworld is at their heels all the
Yeah.
time on that
Oh
island.
yeah, oh yeah.
That's
And
What if
it's
she
like-
wanted to get the fuck out of there?
Yet,
Any
yet,
excuse, right?
yet her mom didn't want her to be trained how to fight.
Yeah, that's
What?
that kind of yeah, that is kind of weird.
I mean,
That kind of struck me as weird too. Like you would think that the main Amazonian woman would be like, yes, train my daughter to be a strong woman, that kind of thing. It
I
kind
think
of
she
was
just
weird
didn't
that
want her-
she was like, I don't want my daughter to get hurt or be put in danger. See, especially knowing everything she knows about, their destiny and what they have to do. And, obviously keeping Hades out of our fucking back porch, our backyard, like that kind of thing. It's like, why? Yeah, that was kind of weird for me. Like, even before I knew that, why did she not want her to become a warrior woman?
I kind of took that to mean like she didn't want her trained at a young age. Not that she didn't want her trained at all, just she was too young for it at that time.
well,
So
ha-
she
the
just
way
wanted
I
her to
took
be
it
a
anyway.
kid for a while. Is that it? Like,
Well,
Yeah, that's what I
you-
saw. Yeah.
it
no,
also
she was-
it had something
she
to
knew
do
that
with
she was the
dete-
god killer.
yeah, it also had something to do with Ares being able to find her or detect her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
more she trains, the more like of a beacon she's putting out for
Mhm.
Ares. Essentially,
Really? Okay.
the stronger she gets, the more he can sense her in the world. Apparently,
And he brought up Justice League, the cartoon, but I just like I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of hoping for some little Wonder Woman Batman romance that they were alluding to in the series.
Yes.
There's got to
No,
be
like-
there's got to be
Well,
something.
I
there.
don't know. Here's the thing: is that Batman it's not even necessarily alluding to a romance. I didn't take it that way because Batman, especially from some of the grittier universes and stuff, he is like. He tries to keep up good relations with all of the superheroes. He'll send gifts. He has files upon files of each superhero, what their powers are, what their weaknesses are, their secrets, anything that can be used against them if they go rogue. I mean, like, Batman is the ultimate pre-planner, detective, fucking brilliance over brawn kind of guy. That's why I was brought over to the side of Batman, because I used to fucking hate Batman. I'm like, oh,
Hate
this rich
Batman.
asshole.
Hate
Yeah,
him with a passion.
and I hated him. I hated him too. But when you get right down to the brass tacks, he's kind of a fucking brilliant genius. He's just a man. He literally is just a man. Now, he's got a shit ton of money, but not only that, he's a fucking genius detective, a genius problem solver, a genius when it comes to pre-planning. And so he has all the Justice League in his palms. That's why he's able to defeat Superman in the comic books, where he fights Superman. Like, when would a man ever be able to take down Superman? Well, they are if you've got fucking kryptonite rings ready to go in your fucking Batcave in case Superman goes rogue. And he does. He's ready with that kind of shit. So when he sends the stuff to Diana, as kind of like I see that more of like a relationship building thing, not necessarily romantic. It's just, hey, I was thinking about you. I'm super rich. Thought I'd send you this gift. it makes it easier for him. He does shit like that all the time. He keeps them all fucking wrapped around his finger. Batman's the shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
one
in
of
the
the-
movie, you're right, but like he's referencing the cartoon.
Oh, you
And in
remember the cartoon?
They had
I
a
thought-
romance.
Yeah,
They
Oh,
totally
in the
totally
cartoon.
did.
Oh, I
Totally
thought you
had
were
a
talking about
romance.
the gift that he sends that starts the whole movie off. I thought that's what you were talking about. My bad that I digress.
No.
Okay. So they
It makes
totally
sense, though.
fucked in
Like
something
I said,
else. I don't know,
movie,
man.
Definitely
I'm
not
sure
there
they've
yet,
all.
but
One of the best things about the relationship between Batman and Wonder Woman in the cartoon is Wonder Woman is 100% the aggressor. There are times where Wonder Woman just literally walks up and like can just like fondle his balls, and she just like, "Hey, cutie," and this happens multiple times.
I don't even remember this.
No,
Really?
she's the aggressor all the
Yeah.
time.
Man.
Yeah, she's always the aggressor, and she's just like, "My route now," and he's like, "I need to sharpen my batarangs."
I need to sharpen my
I thought you were just saying I need to sharpen my penis.
See, Batman's all about like I gotta stay focused on my mission. I don't have time for women. One woman's like, "Shut the hell up, get naked, and get in my room."
Jesus. Just for research purposes, do you have any links to these videos?
Honestly, just find a site where you can just watch Justice League online and binge it.
Is
Okay,
it?
I will.
I mean,
It's so good.
is this canon? I mean, is this part of the comics or not?
I don't know. It was on. I mean, it was on Cartoon Network. So
Yeah, it was,
I'm
it was a
watching-
kids show for crying out
I
loud.
watching
know. That's why I don't
a kid's
remember
show.
this at all.
I'm watching a kid's show on Cartoon Network simply for the Batman sexual harassment.
I mean, I watched for Zatanna's, corset and giant breasts, but
Yeah, well, I mean, they all have those, right? I mean, pretty much all of them. So, superheroes are not lacking in the breast department. It seems like very often, except for
I have 2 more points and then I'll get out of here.
Okay, yeah, go for it. Sorry, I can.
I
talk
know we
about
have other
breasts all
people.
day.
Yeah, right. But oh man, don't lose it.
Don't lose that thought. Grab it. Grab it. Grab it.
By the way, it's
Use
good
your
to talk
mind
to you, man.
palace.
It's good to talk to you. Hi, buddy.
Okay, one real quick thing. I never liked Batman until I watched Batman Beyond, where it shows him as old man badass.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 episodes where it's Terry McGinnis, the Batman in Batman Beyond, ends up joining the Justice League, and Superman is going rogue, and then you literally just see him like open up the floor, a tower opens up, spins around, and it has all these articles with files and the items to kill everybody.
Yeah.
Really?
Like,
Wow.
yeah,
he's
that's in. I think it's in one of the later episodes.
Hmm.
But it's definitely awesome.
That's what I'm talking about, man. He's a badass dude. He's ready to kill everyone. Like he is the ultimate pre-planner. Oh man. He does a
Monberg,
lot of
I
shit.
see you.
Yeah,
I will
go
trigger
Berg.
you all
Okay,
day.
no, like just to elaborate on what he's saying, like there is an entire comic book saga where the Justice League is literally getting wrecked, like all of them. They're all getting completely obliterated, and they come to find out it's because somebody got a hold of Batman's super secret
wow.
plans on
That's-
how to defeat every hero. And the Justice League's so mad at him for making that. Like, why would you make a document for us to defeat us? And he was like, well, in case you ever change your minds.
Yeah.
So
And that's why
badass.
he's a badass.
That's
He's the
okay.
crazy
Got newfound
Vietnam
respect
vet.
for him now. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy with the eye and like the fucking hook for a hand. He's like, I'll take you all down,
Yeah.
you crazies. I don't know why he became a pirate all of a sudden. But
I remember my last thing.
go for it.
It was about the God Killer reference, about how she's the God Killer.
Yeah.
And this is canon. This is in the comic books. Her sword actually cuts Superman.
Oh shit.
I don't doubt that.
Wow.
And it's explained, and she goes, the sword is so sharp, it cuts through the space between atoms, which if you know about the blade, it's 2 planes, and when enough pressure is exerted, it just splits the atom. Or splits.
Okay.
And this just goes through the space and just makes a clear, between the gap. Cut.
The fuck?
Wouldn't that cause
Wow.
a nuclear explosion though? If we split atoms, isn't that kind of how it's done?
That's-
Nerdist, one of their YouTube, Because Science with Kyle Hill, actually does a whole 11-minute video on this if you want to watch it. It's amazing.
And I will, because I've watched many of those videos. I'm surprised I missed it. I've watched so many of those fucking videos. Anywho.
Wow,
Thanks
okay.
so much
That-
for
that-
coming on and sharing
All right,
all
thanks,
that.
guys.
Mind blowing. Yeah. Thanks, Harry.
Man.
I love doing superhero stuff because there's always a
Ton
gaggle
of
of
people.
fucking people that want to jump on and
This is
just
by
hit us
far
with
the most callers we've ever had. This is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, I love it.
This is
I love
definitely
it.
great. But that's it. That's going to be it for callers But yeah, guys, definitely feel free
ask you-
each and every week. We definitely take
hold
calls.
Oh, sorry.
You go?
I didn't know you
Go
were
ahead.
doing like a
No.
little plug thing. I had like one more. I thought you were wrapping up. I was like, wait. I gotta ask you guys a question. Do you guys think this movie was better served being directed by a woman than a man?
Yeah, no question.
Yes, definitely.
No question.
Okay, I agree 100%. I thought that more of you would disagree, but apparently we're all on the same. Well, and that's the show. And no, because it's like I feel like if it were in the hands of a man, I feel like it's too likely to end up more sexual.
Yeah,
Like,
it would have been
I
too
feel like-
sexy.
Yeah, I feel like she was sexy when she wanted to be, but otherwise, I mean, besides her armor, that's, obviously sort of revealing, not a lot, but whatever.
Yeah.
I never saw her as like sexual. In fact, I don't even think I was attracted to her for like 99% of the movie. There's a few looks that she gives where I'm like, okay, yeah, that's super hot, whatever. But like the overall picture of her, I didn't really see her that way.
That's
I
a
didn't
good
see her
point.
sexually.
Yeah.
I don't know. Personally, Burke's like, oh, I fucking saw her sexually. I'm not saying she's not a pretty woman. I'm just saying that, like, I never was like, I don't know. I didn't like pop the most normal boner ever.
I
when was
agree with you.
watching it.
I agree with you too. I feel like somehow they were able to portray her in not a crazy sexual way. And
Yeah.
given that she's in an outfit that's, skimpy as can be, it's pretty amazing they were able to do that.
Yeah, and I think if there was a man in charge of that, it would have been a different.
Well, I just think
story.
so.
And I
This-
think there would be
this-
a lot of pressure too.
Yeah,
I
this
think there would have
is-
been a lot more pressure.
I think this might be generalizing, but I'm just going to say it anyways. But I think if a man was directing it, I think there's a good chance that, WB, a lot of things that WB was probably pushing for, or whatever influence they had, might have gotten through. Somebody that didn't have, this type of, more of a feminist type of approach to this thing too, or just that type of reasoning for doing the movie. So, having a female do it and having them stand strong with whatever they want to do with this film, I think was going to be carried through, or have a much higher percentage chance of being carried through than having a guy director.
Yeah.
Not to say that there aren't some guy directors that could have done
No,
it
I'm
too,
not saying
but-
that it can't be done or that it's impossible. I'm just saying that it was clear they got the right woman for the job. Like,
Yeah, it was.
and it spoke in a lot of ways, most of them subtle, that really made me enjoy the film a lot more than I would your everyday superhero convenient movie that does all the same cookie cutter shit we've seen 1,000
Yep.
times. The end fight was still a little cookie cutter, but you know what? And this goes back a little bit to what we were talking about, Ares. I never really got this out. I always thought that Ares wouldn't be like a person or even have a manifestation until like his god manifestation. I thought that he would sort of be in the essence of everything that everyone was doing there in the war. Like almost like when she goes to confront him, like an essence sort of leaks out of the warehouse, the weapons, the guns, the people, the airplanes, just every bit of malice and hatred and warlike attitude that could have been gleamed, would have just kind of risen from them like a mist and sort of formed him. So it shows that he's like everywhere, like you said, like a shroud, like he is part of everything because he's a god, right? He's the god of war. He's got to be actively working every angle he can to incite war and keep war going. So it was weird when he was manifested as a person, because that was sort of, as far as my understanding of mythological lore, that was more of a Zeus thing. Zeus was the one that always came down from the heavens and became either an animal or a human, or did that stuff. You don't really, from what I know, you don't have very many stories of that happening with Ares or even other gods in general. Occasionally, but not very often.
Well, Ares
Sometimes you
was
Yeah.
was always the symbol of rage, and that's and definitely not planning and being very, precise with anything that he did. So
I'll tell you what I liked about their take on Ares is that I think the general point of it is that he doesn't matter anymore. Like, yes, he did manipulate a couple things here and there, but like overall, it was still mankind that went to war. And that's what he was trying to instill in her, that I didn't really do hardly anything. They did this their own. And then she just decided to just wreck his ass because, he was an asshole. But I didn't really feel like she had to defeat him now because, just in the war. I think it was just, this is what mankind is, and so she's gonna try to, be a beacon of light.
They didn't have to kill him. I kind of feel like that battle and just having that finality of him dying, because apparently Ares is a big villain in the Wonder Woman world. So just killing him off in the very first one and just so suddenly like that probably didn't do justice to Ares.
Get it? Do justice. Justice League.
Yeah.
Oh my
Shut
god.
up.
You didn't even mean that.
Yeah, I didn't, but all right. Anything else, guys? You want to say about Wonder Woman? We can talk about it next week.
Can't wait till Wonder Woman 2.
All right, let's talk about next week then. All right, next week, drum roll. We've got American Gods, except for the D and the S are covered here. But yeah, this is
American Go.
American Go.
American Go.
Go.
Such a good show.
It's
Yeah,
so good.
definitely 8 episodes, season 1, obviously. So if you guys want to go check it out, it shouldn't be too long. If I think it's available on Amazon, right? American Gods.
I subscribe to Stars for it.
Stars.
alone.
Okay, Stars. Okay, yeah. So eight episodes, definitely not as long as some of the other TV series that we've done that usually have like 15, 20 episodes and it can take it forever. So definitely catch that out. It's been, a lot of people have been talking about American Gods, obviously, and it's about time
I'm
that we
still
do it
reading
here.
the book. I gotta finish the book. I'm like 75% done with it.
So how close is the book in the series? Like, people have been saying.
We'll get into it when we talk about the show.
Yeah, sure.
It diverges in a few places. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
It's a weirdie. It's a weirdy one.
it's a weird one.
Weird ones are good.
Yeah.
Weird ones are good for us, man.
Yeah.
We go.
Yeah, I
agree.
like
Yeah.
the weird shit.
I agree. I'm gonna have to rewatch it now just to get familiar with it again. I feel like there's a lot.
I'm glad I did the Wonder Woman one, but gosh dang it, I would love to do also the American Gods one too.
I mean, you're
Well, like,
welcome to
we're-
come back.
Yeah, we can have you back.
It's not totally against protocol to have the same guest twice. Like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like we've had Bikeman, maybe not back to back, but we had him maybe like a week in between. Like
Yeah, we've had Bikeman a couple
Bikeman's- yeah.
times. Is he the only
Yeah.
repeat we've had? I think he might be the only repeat we've had.
Yeah, I think so. So maybe you
Yeah.
can come back.
Sure,
next week
yeah.
if you really want to talk about American Gods, I'm down, man. All right. Well,
All right. Well, I guess we got.
I'm the guy who schedules the guests, so
Exactly.
you did it. You passed the test.
You passed the test.
You're on next week.
Yeah. Well, why don't we wrap
good.
up for this week? Burke, yeah, it was definitely a pleasure to have you on this week and hopefully next week too. You want to do any shout outs? Where can people find you? All that good stuff?
Yeah, right. Fat Pirate, BurkeBlack, Fat Pirate. Enjoy.
BurkeBlack, Fat
Pirate.
Pirate, enjoy.
Fatpirate.net.
Oh shit, it's taken.
It's actually just a BitTorrent site.
Oh man, Diction. Want to do some shout outs?
I mean, my addiction 1.
One.
I mean, twitch.tv/eBaddiction1. Probably not going to be streaming today because I'm going out to a show later. But tomorrow I'll get fucked up Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello?
Hi, Fat Viking, enjoy.
Viking.
It's Fat Pirate, Fat Viking.
I could be Fat
and
Asian.
We'll just go to...
I just be fat
No,
Asian.
you can't. No, you can't.
Anti-fat Asian.
Don't you take the fat thing away from us. That's our image. That's our brand. No, I'm going to be streaming tonight, actually. I think start time is going to be around 7. I was supposed to stream this morning, but for whatever reason, I loaded in this new graphics of the 1080 Ti, and for whatever reason, it has just fucked my shit up. So I have things working to the point where I have the displays properly where they're supposed to be, and like I'm not getting error messages and shit, and so that's good. But I still have to work out some kinks before tonight. But yeah, I think 7 o'clock tonight. We're gonna start out with something normal, like something regular, and then I'm gonna jump into a couple hours of Summoner Wars, which is a mobile game, which I've never streamed a mobile game before.
Oh, yeah.
But my community actually encouraged me to try it because they said it was actually pretty good. So I'm gonna try it tonight for a couple of hours. We'll see if I like it or not. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all that's going on tonight. So
All right,
yeah,
cool.
Chan, tell us about you.
Well, I'm finishing off my week, so if you want to catch any of the shows that I did earlier this week with Overwatch and Hearthstone, you can check them all out at youtube.com/ChanManV. Oh, I'm posting the streamer showdown that we did at E3 tomorrow on the channel too, so you can watch that.
Cool.
That was a lot of fun with all the guys. It's hilarious. So yeah, you can check that out. My stream's twitch.tv/ChanManV, Twitter same thing, ChanManV. Anything ending in ChanManV is me, verified. So if you're interested in this show, you can actually listen to it on iTunes too, and SoundCloud and Google Play, which a lot of people don't know because it's very clear because we don't have that many ratings. So if you want to show that at least that you're listening to it on those channels, leave us a rating. Helps us out with SEO and people finding spoiler alerts, since there's apparently like 100 spoiler alerts on iTunes and we're like number 8 or something like that. Go ahead and leave that on iTunes. It only takes a few minutes and it really helps us out. But that's going to be it, guys, for spoiler alerts this week. So for BurkeBlack, Eat My Diction, Ellohime, and myself, ChanManV, we'll see you next week. Later.